Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the virtual open house for the Criminal Justice Administration program and the Intelligence and Global Security programs. These programs are offered from our CIS department at Point Park University, and we are happy to have you for the open house. Now, normally, of course, we hold this on campus and we like to meet you and show you around the school, show you where your classes would be, and get you familiarized with our downtown campus, but unfortunately we can't do that today. And we are looking forward to having this opportunity to talk with you anyway. So just some general items about graduate school at Point Park to give you some familiarity with our school. We do have small class sizes. These two programs in particular are both small programs with faculty that are very dedicated to you. They do take an interest in their students, and I think that our faculty that are here today will back that up in terms of the fact that they know each student in the program and they know who they are. The campus is centrally located in downtown, and our class schedule is built for working adults and people with many different responsibilities in their life. We do have one assistantship available in the department, and we are accepting applications for that until July 21st. And lastly, I wanted to let you know about our Graduate Student Association. Our students do enjoy getting involved outside of just going to class 1 or 2 days a week. So we have a Graduate Student Association that allows students to become more involved and network. Our Graduate Student Association networks with graduate students at other schools outside of Point Park that are in Pittsburgh, as well as cross collaboration between other graduate programs. So it really just gives you an opportunity to get to know people, do happy hours, do other types of events, so that you're part of the campus culture as well. The admissions process for those of you who are thinking about our program and haven't yet applied yet, we require official transcripts from undergrad, a one-page statement of purpose. So this should be about 1 page about your background, your career goals, and your reasons for pursuing this degree. Now this is an opportunity to show the faculty and show the admissions committee what you want to do with the program, and also to showcase your writing ability. Both of these programs do have research and writing involved with them, and it's very important that you can formulate an idea and formulate an essay. And so this is really going to be your opportunity to show your writing style. We require a resume and 2 recommendation letters. The recommendation letters should be from a former or current supervisor or someone that you work closely with. A coworker is okay too. If you are a student right now in undergrad, you might choose to use a professor as a recommendation. If you've been out of school for a while, 2 professional recommendations are okay. Some people use an athletic coach if they are an undergraduate student who's an athlete. So those are just some ideas for you. Your recommender can use our recommendation form, which is online, or they can just write their own letter. That's fine too. And the email address to send the documents is listed here. And then financial aid information. So we do have a merit scholarship at Point Park if you qualify. You would qualify if you have a 3.25 GPA or higher. And the scholarship would be automatically applied to your account. You do not have to fill out any additional application or anything. It'll automatically be applied if you qualify. We do, like I said, offer assistantships. So there is that one within the department as well as others around the university that you might qualify for. We offer payment plans, which is an opportunity for you to spread out your payment of the semester over the course of the semester rather than paying it at once up front. Some of you might qualify for employer reimbursement if your company that you work for or your employer offers to pay for part of your tuition. So what we do is we do a deferred tuition program. So we offer you the ability to pay the amount of your employer reimbursement at the end of the semester instead of having to front load that cost on yourself. And then Lastly, and importantly, we have several tuition discount programs at Point Park, including an alumni discount if you're a Point Park alumni, a law enforcement discount, and employer discounts for many other companies as well. And then finally, there are loans available at the federal level to cover anything that isn't covered in any of the above financial aid options. As long as you haven't taken out any loans at the graduate level, you should qualify for the full amount, which would be enough to cover your education in either of these programs. So that's up to you. Our financial aid office, the web address is listed here, and our financial aid office is available to talk to you either virtually or in person once we open campus back up. And I just want to go over quickly about the class schedules. So for the Criminal Justice Administration program, this is a fully Saturday program. So you would come on Saturday and start at 8:30 and end around 5, and there's a couple breaks in between for a meal and for a quick break in between classes. So there's 3 classes from 8:30 to 5 o'clock on Saturdays. And then for the Intelligence and Global Security program, when we are able to offer the on-campus program, then it'll be Saturday classes with 2 classes on Saturday and then 1 class online. Now, if there isn't enough interest in the Saturday classes, then we will offer the program fully online. So it's up to you if you're interested in the Saturday classes program. I encourage you to apply for the on-campus program. And if we are able to offer it that way, we absolutely will. And if we don't have enough students who are interested in the Saturday classes, then we do offer the whole program fully online as well. So now I'm going to turn it over to Richard Linzer. He is our program director for the Criminal Justice Administration program.
Hi, it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to at least speak to you on a tape rather than not speaking to you at all. Normally, as Dana said, we do these on ground, and once we return on campus, even if it's a little bit early, if you want to meet with me personally, although we will social distance and wear masks, I'd be more than happy to meet with you. You can also call me or send me an email. My email address will be listed at the end of the presentation. Our coursework is pretty comprehensive. The program is preset in that we don't offer any electives. The structure of the program is designed, because it is on Saturdays, that in the first semester, in the fall semester, you have 3 classes. And I'm going to refer to my notes to be sure that I don't miss anything. We have a professional and research writing, administration and management, and also theories of criminology. In this winter, well, the spring term, because we don't have a winter in Pittsburgh. In the spring term, we have 3 classes, and that's advanced research, policies and politics, and ethics. And in the summer, you actually have 4 classes. The way it's broken up is that we have 2 8-week sessions. The first 8-week session is the capstone class and also legal issues in criminal justice administration. And the economics class and organizational behavior meet in the second 8 weeks. I did want to let you know that each of the classes are designed to interface and to interlock with each other. And you'll find that the faculty from one class is more than happy to work with you on classes and papers for other programs. We are a writing intensive program. And by that, I mean that you will be writing in every class, every term. You will have papers that will be due. You'll have assignments that will be due. The idea is that it gives us an opportunity to see your writing and to improve on your writing. And also it's an opportunity for us to then take your written works and then discuss them in class. Most of the classes are a combination of lecture and also discussion. You can see from the slide that you have criminal justice administration and management, policy and criminal justice, organizational behavior, economics, advanced research and design. I want you to realize that while this program is designed for criminal justice administration, we have a number of students who decide not to pursue a career in criminal justice. And in fact, some who are involved in criminal justice actually exit that program and go into management. At the end of our presentations, you'll see a list of people who are some of our graduates, and they are reflected in our as links from the biography page of our department. One of them, for instance, you'll see is Annie Fiffick. Annie is a person who worked at Western Penn, who now runs a food bank and is currently in the doctoral program. So you can see it right there. Annie is the first, second, the fourth one down. We also have people, excuse me, who have founded their own programs, such as Alethea Bush. We have people who also work in non-governmental criminal type programs, fraud investigators for banks. And we also have people, for instance, who based on their degree and their administrative experience, go into running, for instance, a medical practice. We have someone who runs a medical practice as the administrator for the practice over on the south side of Pittsburgh. So as you can see from this list, you'll see people like Scott Schubert, who's the chief of police for the city of Pittsburgh, Eric Holmes, who's a commander and chief of staff, Marita Bryant, who's the assistant superintendent for the Allegheny County Police. These are all people, this entire list are people that you'll be able to find on our biography page and when you bring up the graduate criminal justice program. And these are also people who are actively or were actively involved in criminal justice. You can see with Scott Schubert, Eric Holmes, and Marita Bryant, these are people who are at some of the highest levels in the county and the city law enforcement. So it is a program that carries great prestige with the law enforcement community, and that's something that you really need to think about if you're interested in coming into a master's program. The class cohort is small. We usually, depending upon any given year, we might be running 10, 12, or more students, but we've never gone over 15. That gives it an opportunity. That gives the students an opportunity to interact with each other. We find that the students often create chat rooms for each, for themselves as a group cohorts, and they work together on papers. But we don't normally do group projects, but they serve to assist each other. As Dana told you, the classes are Saturday only, and it gives the students an opportunity to work full-time if you choose to do so, and still be able to come on Saturdays for your classes. The numbers of students that we've had who graduate and who are in law enforcement are dramatic. We've got people all over, not just from the Pittsburgh area, but we have some students who travel here. Currently, we have a student who was a probation officer in Oregon, who's currently living in Bradford, Pennsylvania, and who's working there. So while it's still in Western Pennsylvania, he commutes in when we are on ground, he commutes in every day for class. I also want to comment a little bit about the faculty. All of our faculty are people that obviously have either a PhD or a law degree. For instance, I was a career prosecutor. I was an assistant DA for 6.5 years, senior deputy attorney general for Pennsylvania for 19.5 years, and senior counsel to the inspector general for health and human services in Washington, in addition to working at private law firms. So I was also served as the police legal advisor for every department in Allegheny County when I was an assistant DA, except for the Pittsburgh Police. We have a faculty member who teaches some of the classes, such as policy and organizational behavior in certain terms, and also management, who not only is a lawyer, but also has a PhD in psychology. And this is her area of expertise. We have a judge who teaches, who's an administrative judge for one of the divisions here in Allegheny County, who normally teaches our legal our legal issues class. And the person who teaches our writing classes is somebody who was, beside having a PhD, was also a former uniformed federal officer. So we bring in a lot of real world experience, and we're not just people who have read about things in books, but we are people who have done the work and done the practices. And it gives us an opportunity to have those exchanges. Our classes are small enough that we know the students personally, and we not only know them from the standpoint of their work, but also know what they're doing in the community and how they interact with each other. It's really a good cohort. I've been with the university part-time since 1999, and I guess it's going to be 4 years that I became the head of the graduate program. And it's really a program that has grown, that's developed. One class that I do want to mention to you, and then I'll turn it over back to Dana, and that's the capstone class. The capstone class is when we are on ground, requires a paper and a presentation, and that presentation is given to basically to the university community, and we often have police officers, police chiefs who come in to listen as well. We've had things talking about very academic orientation, like comparisons between the Patriot Act and the Fourth Amendment. And we've had people who have done things such as exploring the efficacy of faith-based programs at the county jail. In fact, when we talk about careers, the person who did that program ultimately decided not to go into criminal justice with an agency, but in fact is working with that faith-based organization because she liked them and they liked her. We've had people who have done studies on the psychological effects of working as corrections officers. So it's really quite a broad experiential opportunity. Also in the capstone, every week we take real life examples. We talk about scenarios that involve immigration. We talk about whether or not police are using excessive force. We talk about escalation of force. We talk about ransomware. And we try to use the capstone to bring into that discussion everything that has been learned in all of the other classes, so that it involves policy, it involves management, it involves issues such as the theories of criminology. So it's really a pretty full program. I will not lie to you. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a commitment. This is not a program where you just show up. I mean, you have to be able to work on your weekly assignments, do your reading, and be prepared to do your papers and presentations. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. I will be glad to respond. If you want to send it to Dana or copy her, or send it to her and copy me, we will make sure that somebody gets back to you as soon as possible. Dana is great when it comes to responding and making sure that you have what you need to get into the program, and also to make sure that, if at all possible, that you are going to be successful in the program. Back to you, Dana.
Thank you very much, Richard. I appreciate that. That was a great detail into our program. And as Richard mentioned, we are very dedicated to making sure that each student who is in the program is a good fit, both for our program and that this is a good fit into your life, which is why we require that essay, and we do get to know each student before they even become a student in our program. Like I said, it's a small, tight-knit group, and we do that by design. So that is the Criminal Justice Administration program. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Sean Martin. He is the program director for the Intelligence and Global Security program at Point Park.
Hello. Thank you very much. So our program in many ways is structured similarly to the criminal justice program. So I can kind of piggyback off of quite a bit of those ideas. It's set up in terms of 10 classes. Like the criminal justice program, there's really no electives. It's prescribed. We go through in a certain order, starting with the 500 class is research methods, and ending with our capstone, which is, as a capstone should be, the culmination of the skills that you would develop over this time. Typically, people who tend to go into intelligence are looking at global issues, or maybe they want to work on the federal level. So the main difference between criminal justice and intelligence is simply that the role of criminal justice, and Dr. Linzer obviously can chime in on additions to this, but if you look at the role of criminal justice as enforcing the laws of the United States, assuming that we're talking about criminal justice within the United States, and examining the various aspects of doing so, intelligence in and of itself is not specifically about enforcing those laws. There are 17 intelligence agencies. Some of them dovetail and overlap with the law enforcement community, like the FBI, the DEA, Homeland Security, but most of them are not for the purpose of enforcing the laws of the United States. Intelligence is about gathering, analyzing, and disseminating information. In the federal level, as in terms of our US agencies, this is to give information to policymakers and analyze information for policymakers so that they can make informed decisions. And it's up to them whether they follow this or not. However, the processes that we use in collecting and analyzing information have made their way into a lot of other areas. So for instance, there's that overlap with the criminal justice programs. As a matter of fact, our DA's office here in Allegheny County a while back started an intelligence department. They hired 3 analysts from our school. 2 of the 3 of them were from our program, as a matter of fact. One, I think, was from Mercyhurst, but 2 of the 3 analysts that they hired for law enforcement intelligence analysis were from this program. We have people certainly who work for the military. We have people who go into what we call the alphabet soup. We've got people who've gone to work for and still maintain contacts with the CIA, the FBI, the DEA, NSA, the State Department, etc. And also quite a few who go into private sector businesses. A lot of our people work for banks. They work for large corporations. Any place, which is almost every place, that needs to have information analyzed, processed, and communicated in a way that people can take it and use it, they can learn something from our program. In terms of the way that we go through this, like the criminal justice program, this is very personalized. Last year was the first year that we haven't had a Saturday cohort. Sometimes trends just come and go. Some people, a lot of the time we've got people, by the way, who are stationed overseas. They might be with the military in another country, and they're still able to do our online program. Or there have been cases where we've had someone who, if you start in the online program and then get a job, that's what we want. The last thing that we're going to do is make that hard for you. So we had someone who started in our on-ground program. He got a job in California with a private military corporation making a whole lot of money. And we were very happy for him. We finished him out for the semester through email, but still technically as an on-ground student. And then we just switched him to online, and he didn't miss a beat, and he finished his master's program. So having both options makes things very flexible. Whether you're online or on ground, we consider you part of the department and part of our little family. So you're still invited and encouraged to participate if you can make it to campus, whether you're on ground, or assuming if you're on ground, you'll make it to campus. If you're online, you can still use our computer labs, where I'll teach you how to use i2 Analyst's notebook software. This is cutting edge stuff that I won't bore you with right now. I teach psychological operations for the 303rd Army Reserve Psychological Operations Unit, and you can actually come out with us and work with the soldiers and help them to train for going to overseas and gathering information and winning hearts and minds, as we say. We take an annual trip to the DC area. We usually go to CIA headquarters, oftentimes to DIA. Any of our grad students who can make it are welcome to come with us on all of these things. The people who we have teaching for us are, there are a couple of us who are traditional academics, but we've done things in the academic fields that contribute to this. And then speaking only for myself, I've worked on a project with the FBI. I've trained the DA's office, analysts and stuff like that. So I kind of got into the mix after the academic training, and then I continue that. Our department chair teaches in our Intel program also, and he was in the first academy of DEA agents, and he finished off his career in counterterrorism with the FBI. We have someone who's working currently with the DIA who teaches for us, somebody who's currently working with Homeland Security. So it's really department-wide. We've got some pretty good people working for us, and every one of us is really committed. I think I can speak for all of us that we love working with the students, and we really try to customize within our framework. We try to customize to the career goals of the students. So all of the classes, or certainly the ones that I teach, and I think all of them, are made with enough wiggle room that you can develop your own niche within Intel. If you have a regional specialty, an area focus that you want to go into, we help you to explore the possibilities and to be able on your resume not to just say that you've got a master's in intelligence, but a class focus on this, final project focus on that. Also, we point you in terms of external things that you can do, certificates that you can get in particular software if you want to go that route. We've got a relationship with it's a mouthful, NCFTA, National Cyber Forensics and Training Alliance. And I've done dark web investigation training with them and taken students out with me to sit in the classroom and do this training. So we're constantly looking for new ways to really expand the resume materials and the experiences of the students. I think that just about covers it.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Sure.
That's really helpful.
You're welcome.
I will offer some time at the end where I'll kind of facilitate some questions that we get normally from prospective students. That way, you know, this might be a question that you're thinking of while you're watching this presentation. And like I said, if you have any further questions, you can contact myself or Richard or Sean, and we're happy to answer your questions for you. But before we move on to that, I want to introduce Lynn Rebar. She is here. She's the Director of Graduate Admission, and I wanted to introduce her so that she can give you a little bit of information about Point Park as well. Oh, Lynn, you're on mute right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dana, and thank you, Professors Linzer and Martin, for a really strong overview of both of these programs, where they can take students and what makes them unique. I think it was a great presentation, and I'm confident that anybody viewing the video will have a really good sense of what makes these programs special and worthwhile. I am the Director of Graduate Admission at Point Park, so I work with all of our programs and counselors who enroll both our online and on-campus students. I've been with Point Park since 2003, working with students and participating in these kinds of informational events on an on-campus and now on a virtual basis. So I hope that anyone viewing this video will have a really good sense of the programs and what makes Point Park really a unique place. We've always been very focused on adults, very focused on careers, and very flexible, I think, and that those are attributes that will serve us well, particularly in these challenging times that we're in now, with the realization that we're on campus, but we may need to pivot to online. We're fully prepared to do that, and we are really a leading provider of online education too. So we're very flexible and able to adapt as needed if that should become required. But we do have every intention of going back to campus for class in the fall in a safe way, and we'll be following all the the guidelines we need to follow to make sure that everyone is safe and healthy. We've put a lot of effort into really enhancing our campus footprint and expanding it, and we're looking forward to going back there in the fall. But we do have online options as well, as those have been detailed in the program so far. Also, just from an economic standpoint, we are very conscious of the fact that a graduate degree is an investment, but it's obviously one that has a cost associated with it. And for that reason, we are very focused on affordability and value. I know that Dana talked a little bit about some of the mechanisms there, like tuition discounts and scholarships and grants that are available. But we also really focus in terms of our program content and our amazing faculty on making sure that students get a fantastic experience that is worth the time and the money that they put into it. We know that value is important, and I'm absolutely confident that these programs provide a great value in terms of what you learn and where they can take you, as both of our faculty members here have outlined a lot of the organizations in their fields where our students are currently working, and that there are great career opportunities that can await you. Your career trajectory will really be enhanced with a Point Park degree. So thank you for watching this video, everyone out there. Appreciate it. As Dana said, please don't hesitate to contact us with questions so that we can assist you in any way in making a decision about your educational future. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lynn. So I
Thanks.
wanted to offer this time to kind of go over some questions that prospective students often have. And like I mentioned before, we're happy to answer your individual questions. So please do contact us and we will help you out. So one question that I've been getting a lot lately from students, and Lynn talked a little bit about this, is about the plan for the fall. You know, we understand that starting school this year is uncertain, and these are very uncertain times, and it is unprecedented. However, we want to make sure that you know that Point Park is very prepared to handle these challenging times. And we demonstrated that this spring when we had to go online with our courses, and we did so seamlessly because we are prepared, and we've offered online courses for many years now, and our faculty know how to do that and know how to do it efficiently so that our students still get the best educational experience that they can. So if that's the case, that we have to offer our courses online, we are prepared to do that. However, we do expect to be back on campus as long as it's safe and legal for us to do so in the fall, as well as the spring. And we're
Dana?
gonna, yes?
If I could comment on that,
Mhm. Yeah.
what we did was for the Criminal Justice Administration program, we went to something that's contained as part of the system that we use called Schoology. We used a process called Big Blue Button, which basically is like Zoom. And we just continued to meet during the scheduled times. And while the students were given written discussion questions rather than have what we would have normally assigned in class, we went to the Big Blue Button, which gave us an opportunity to have face-to-face interactive discussions throughout the conclusion of the period. And in fact, we did this with our summer classes as well. So while we didn't have that opportunity to be in the same room, it gave us the opportunity to meet during our scheduled time, face to face, and with an opportunity to have a full exchange of ideas, concepts, and material.
That's a great point. And it's also a good point that we do plan to, the students who started the program last fall, they are scheduled to graduate this at the end of the summer, and we didn't want to hold them back in any way, and they were able to continue their courses and graduate on time. And you know, that's really important to our students, a lot of them being adults and working professionally, that they expect to have the degree when, you know, when it's outlined that they were going to take the courses. So we stuck with that, and it may have been a little bit harder for the faculty to kind of teach the courses, and it might have been a learning experience for everyone all together, but they got through it, and they're getting the most out of their education. So we're very confident in that.
all of our faculty have met the requirements for training for online presentations as well, so that in the event that we have to go to online classes, we meet the requirements for the Pennsylvania Department of Education to ensure that the students are receiving sufficient information and sufficient exchange of ideas to meet the requirements for the programs.
Absolutely. So another question that students often have is, you know, especially for the on-campus program and the online too, how much time are they spending every week outside of class? You know, for the on-campus criminal justice program, they're on campus on Saturdays, but how many hours a week are they working on their assignments outside of class? And for the online program, you know, the same sort of question, that they're not spending any time in class. So people want to know what their time commitment looks like. So if each of you would be willing to kind of speak to that, and of course it depends on the student and it depends on the course, but if you'll kind of speak to the content and what the time commitment is.
Well, I'll go first. I can tell you that the students who are on-ground students, depending upon which class it is, receive a reading assignment every week. The idea is that for all three classes they have for each of the terms, we give them a reading assignment and in some cases a writing assignment as well. So depending upon how fast you read and depending upon how quickly you absorb the information, you're probably, you know, that could vary student to student. But I would expect that for my classes that I teach, the students are given any place from 20 to 30 pages to read and 1 or 2 questions to answer. So the students, and they have to be prepared to turn it in. I think the students tell me that they spend about 2 to 3 hours a week with everything from my class. The writing class is done more on ground for them, so they have less of an assignment. And the other classes, probably they're receiving about 15 to 25 pages of reading. It's not backbreaking, but it's certainly a full schedule. We're sensitive to the fact that a lot, if not all of the students are working. And so we try to give them an assignment that's manageable. I can tell you that in the years that I've been teaching in the program, I've never had, except maybe once or twice where personal matters come up, I've never had a student say to me, I've got so much work, I can't get it done. But it does take some commitment.
Yeah, well put. I would say it's about the same. Of course, we've got the on-ground and the online. So with the online, we have an obligation to create equivalent activities. So we use in our online shells a lot of videos, not silly stuff, obviously. You know, I remember when YouTube was basically just cats and, you know, now we've got a lot of videos that are through YouTube or other platforms that are extremely informative. A lot of them are from universities, and we incorporate that into a lot of the online stuff to make up for that time. And of course, the discussions tend to be very good. One of the things that's great in the Intel program about our online program is because we oftentimes have people who are a police chief somewhere, or they're a police analyst somewhere, or they're working. I mean, we have people who are currently in the FBI who chose us to come back and do this, or in the DIA, and they're, et cetera, rest of the alphabet soup, not to mention the military. They can join from anywhere. Their input is, I'm sure that you can imagine, incredibly valuable. So a lot of the times the discussions have people participating in them who really bring new things to light. They can't tell you everything. I meant to mention also that we couldn't give you a list of our famous or influential graduates for pretty obvious reasons, because a lot of this is classified. So that's why I was only able to mention where they're working, but I can't tell you who they are. That has to drive some of our PR people crazy. I talk to them and they try to get us to, can you give us anything in terms of, you know, who's doing that? But I would say maybe 4 hours, 3 2 to 4 hours per class outside on average for the on-ground, probably about double that almost if you're talking, but since we're not meeting on ground for the online. But I've also never heard any complaints about there being too much work. I've heard something came up, I'll have to, may I have an extension, but I've never heard anybody complain about too much work. And also just trying to keep it interesting. It's that individual perception when they're enjoying what they're doing and we give them a lot of freedom in terms of customizing it toward what really gets them excited. I think that helps a lot. I think that about does it.
Okay, thank you both.
Sure.
A lot of students often have questions about the admissions timeline, so I'll ask that question to myself and then I'll answer it. We do have rolling admissions for both of these programs, and so that means that you can submit your application at any time and it will be reviewed as soon as it's ready. We don't have a specific deadline and then review applications against each other. You just submit your application and submit all of your documents, and when everything is ready for review, then the application committees will review them and will get you a decision. Normally, I have a decision for you in just a couple days, a week at the most, but normally our faculty are very fast in getting back to us, and we have a decision for you really quickly. If the committee needs to interview you, then we can have an interview over the phone or in person if the situation allows. But the admissions process is really quick once you submit everything for your file. So we are on rolling admissions. Another question that we often get is, we talked a lot about the careers that our students are going into, and we gave a lot of examples of that. And Richard and Sean, you both talked about some of the research possibilities in the program, but students do wonder a lot what the practical and research opportunities are. So I'm wondering if maybe both of you can go over that a little bit in terms of the interests of the students while they're taking the classes in the program, and what they might be able to envision for themselves there.
Well, again, I'll be glad to go first. I can tell you that the assignments that I give in my classes are general assignments for papers and projects. I give suggestions as possible topics. Students are never bound to take my suggestions. Frequently they don't. But I want the student to have ownership in the paper that they write. I want them, if they are interested in a particular aspect of the law, then I want them to concentrate on that. To give you an idea, the capstone papers last cohort, one of the students, Fred Livingston, who is listed on the list of bios, his wife is a superintendent, is a principal in a school district, and he really became concerned and became an expert in institutional violence. He did a paper, did his presentation on it, and has actually moved on to where he speaks for different school districts and organizations on the topic. He recently, last year, did a presentation where he brought in the principal from Columbine High School, which was one of the first major high schools to have, shootings, and the two of them did a presentation here in Western Pennsylvania. We have students, as I said, who are, who've gone on. We have a student who did a presentation because he was very concerned about the Patriot Act and how it compared to the Fourth Amendment. He's now currently working on the FBI task force, even though he's a county police officer. We've had students, as I said, who worked on faith-based programs in the county jail. Eric Holmes did his paper on policing in the 21st century. He is, beside being an active police officer, is also an active administrator, and felt that he wanted to talk about the development, not just for the city of Pittsburgh, but policing in general. Eric's had the opportunity to be at the White House several times, and has really become sort of in the forefront of discussions for not only policing in the 21st century, but recently has been very involved with enforcement of COVID-19 issues, and also dealing with professional demonstrations that are taking place. So we really need to, to try to encourage the students to do what they think is the best for their interest. And it's worked very successfully.
Yeah, well put. I would agree with that. For our program as well, we do a lot of individualized kind of career counseling. Also, the people who teach in the Intel program are, I don't want to say constantly, I suppose that's a bit of an exaggeration, but we're very regularly communicating with people who are in the intelligence community, just getting any information we possibly can about who they hire, why they hire, what they're doing, what they see that's good with the people they have coming in, what they want to see more of. So we're updating this information all the time. Just a week ago, I was talking with one of our DIA contacts who was in town, and he gave me a wealth of information to pass on about recruitment and being on the job and what's needed and common misconceptions. So that really helps a lot. I also should mention that on average, people with a master's degree in the intelligence community are eligible for up to 3 GS levels higher, 3 pay grades higher. Some people have estimated that the master's degree tends, if you can get one of those jobs, you're eligible for it. It doesn't get, nothing guarantees a job in anything really, but our rates of people being hired straight out of the program are very, very good. But it is possible for the degree to pay for itself within a year or two, just in the difference in salary. So that's really remarkable. In a lot of these industries, it's just harder and harder to stand out, and the master's degree can make a huge difference. So we also make a lot of meetings. We have our annual formal dinner called The Gathering. We used to call it Spies in Black Ties, but then, which sounds so much cooler, but somebody copyrighted it, so we can't use it anymore. We might change the name later. But we have people who are actually coming from the intelligence community, among other places, to talk to the students. We take them out on trips. We're very close with the Institute of World Politics, and we have internships and things with them. It's actually the chancellor of IWP is a former CIA director. We have former CIA station chiefs, DIA station chiefs, and we make physical introductions between the students and these people. We have them come in and talk in classes, as I know Rich has a lot of guests who are just incredibly valuable in that program as well. But we also sometimes take a road trip and take students out to meet these people, see them talk, and speak with them personally. So I think that's a level of individual assistance that's probably pretty uncommon.
We also bring in recruiters, both for the Intel program and also for the criminal justice program. Now, sometimes the recruiters that we bring in for criminal justice are not only looking at graduate students, but also they are looking at undergraduate students. But for the graduate students, just as Sean said, if they get the position, they start at a much higher salary. For instance, we brought in one of the Intel students happens to work not in Intel, but happens to work for the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court Police. And they have recently interviewed one of our master's students who is, I expect, is going to be going there. She hadn't received her final letters, but the fact is that this is opportunities that we bring to campus. We let both the graduate students and, if applicable, the undergraduate students come in, get an opportunity to hear the presentations, and in some cases, for instance, with the Capitol Police, they do interviews right on campus. They have you fill out your application, and they do the interviews right on campus, which means you don't have to make a trip to Washington, D.C. We're only one of 2 schools in Western Pennsylvania that they come to recruit, despite the fact that there are other undergraduate and master's programs in Western Pennsylvania.
Thanks to you both. I really appreciate you highlighting those opportunities for our students. I think that pretty much rounds out most of the questions that I usually get, but I'm sure that students have questions I'm not thinking of, and I really do encourage you to reach out to us. Unless anyone has any final departing thoughts, then we will go ahead and end the webinar here.
I would just like, I'm sorry, I would like
Go
to
ahead.
mention though that at least I'm assuming Rich's phone number and definitely, and Dana's and definitely mine, those are our office phone numbers, and I'm not allowed, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not allowed to go in yet. So those phone numbers aren't going to work, but the email will work just fine.
Yeah, email is definitely the best way to contact us right now. And if you want a phone call, just email us and let us know when you're
Oh, sure.
available, and we can give you a call. It's harder to reach us on our office phones right now, the way that we're unable to use them in the office. But feel free to send us an email, and we can set up a time that works for you, that we can give you a call. So we're happy to do that. And so we look forward to hearing from all of you, and we look forward to seeing your applications, and hopefully seeing you in class this fall. So
Yep.
thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank
Good
you.
luck and be safe.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.